Machiavelli discovered something that will destroy your people-pleasing forever. Trying to make everyone happy is the surest way to make everyone unhappy, including yourself. He watched how leaders who tried to please all their subjects ended up respected by none, how generals who tried to be friends with their soldiers lost their authority, how rulers who avoided making anyone angry ended up making everyone angry. The harder you try to be liked by everyone, the less anyone actually likes you. This isn't just political theory, it's human psychology. People don't respect what they can easily get. They don't value what costs them nothing. They don't appreciate someone who has no spine. The people-pleasing trap works like this. You think being nice to everyone will make everyone like you. But what actually happens is you become invisible, forgettable, and ultimately disposable. People take advantage of your inability to say no. They lose respect for your opinions because you never disagree with anyone. They stop inviting you to important decisions because they know you'll just go along with whatever others want. You become the human equivalent of background music, pleasant enough to have around, but nobody really notices when you're gone. Meanwhile, people who are selective with their kindness, who disagree when they think you're wrong, who say no when they don't want to do something, these people become memorable, valuable, and respected. But to understand why people-pleasing, it fails so catastrophically, we need to examine how modern culture has programmed you to believe that niceness equals success. Section 1. The Nice Guy Deception. Every Disney movie teaches you the same lie. Be nice. Follow the rules, and eventually everyone will recognize your goodness and reward you. The nice princess gets the prince. The kind-hearted underdog defeats the villain through the power of friendship. The humble hero saves the day and wins everyone's love. Movies like Forrest Gump show you a man who succeeds through pure niceness and loyalty. TV shows like The Office portray Jim as the good guy and Dwight as the villain. Even though Dwight works harder and cares more about the company, you absorb these messages and believe that being nice is a strategy for success. You think that, if you're just kind enough, patient enough, and agreeable enough, people will eventually reward you with love, respect, and opportunities. Reality operates by different rules. People use your niceness against you. They learn that you can't say no, so they pile more work on you. They discover that you hate conflict, so they walk all over you in negotiations. They realize that you need their approval, so they withhold it to control you. Your boss gives you extra projects because you never complain. Your friends call you when they need favors, but never when they're having fun. Your family expects you to accommodate everyone else's schedule because you're flexible. You become the person everyone takes for granted because you've trained them to take you for granted. Your niceness becomes their convenience. People secretly lose respect for those who always agree with them because agreement without thought isn't respect, it's weakness. When you never challenge anyone's ideas, people assume you have no ideas of your own. When you never disagree with anyone's decisions, people assume you have no judgment. When you never stand up for yourself, people assume you have nothing worth standing up for. They start treating you like a yes man rather than an equal. They stop asking for your real opinion because they know you'll just tell them what they want to hear. They exclude you from important conversations because they know you won't contribute anything valuable. Your agreeableness, which you thought would make people like you, actually makes them think less of you. The hidden resentment in people pleasers eventually explodes in ways that destroy relationships completely. You spend months or years saying yes when you mean no, smiling when you're angry, and accommodating when you want to be accommodated. This builds up psychological pressure that eventually has to escape. You might have a massive blow-up over something small. You might develop passive-aggressive behaviors that confuse and irritate others. You might suddenly cut people off without explanation because you can't handle the relationship dynamic anymore. People are shocked by these reactions because they thought you were such a nice person, but you were never actually nice. You were scared, resentful, and dishonest about your feelings. The eventual explosion proves to everyone that your niceness was fake. Constant niceness becomes a form of dishonesty that corrupts every relationship you have. When you pretend to like things you don't like, agree with opinions you don't share, and enjoy activities that bore you, you're lying about who you are. You're presenting a false version of yourself that's designed to avoid conflict rather than create connection. People sense this dishonesty even if they can't articulate it. They feel like they don't really know you because they don't never shown them your real personality. They can't trust you because you've never been authentic with them. They can't respect you because you've never respected yourself enough to be honest about your preferences, opinions, and boundaries. Your relationships become shallow performances rather than genuine connections. But this external people-pleasing behavior only persists because it triggers deeper psychological mechanisms that actually work against you. Section 2. The psychology of weakness. The human brain is wired to interpret constant agreeableness as a sign of low status and weakness. In evolutionary terms, leaders had to make difficult decisions that not everyone liked. Followers were the ones who went along with whatever the leader decided. When you always agree with others, never challenge their ideas, and constantly seek their approval, you're unconsciously signaling that you're a follower, not a leader. People's brains automatically categorize you as someone with low status who should be given less respect, fewer resources, and minimal consideration. This happens below conscious awareness, but it shapes how they treat you in every interaction. They interrupt you more often, dismiss your suggestions more quickly, and assume you're less competent than people who display more confidence and independence. Constant agreement signals desperation for approval, which triggers people's natural instinct to exploit weakness. When someone realizes you need their validation, they unconsciously begin to withhold it to maintain power over you. It's like negotiating. If the other person knows you'll accept any deal, they'll offer you the worst deal possible. If people know you'll agree with anything they say, they'll test how far they can push you. They'll make increasingly unreasonable requests to see where your boundaries are. When they discover you have no boundaries, they lose respect for you and begin treating you like a doormat. This isn't conscious cruelty. It's an automatic response to perceived weakness that exists in all human relationships. Evolutionary psychology explains why we respect strength over agreeableness in potential allies and leaders. Our ancestors needed group members who could stand up to threats, make tough decisions, and maintain their position even when others disagreed. Someone who always backed down or tried to make everyone happy would have been a liability in dangerous situations. These psychological preferences are still hardwired into our brains. We unconsciously associate disagreement with strength, boundaries with competence, and selective kindness with high value. This is why the person who occasionally says no is more respected than the person who always says yes. This is why the friend who tells you hard truths is more valued than the friend who always tells you what you want to hear. People-pleasers attract manipulators and repel healthy individuals because healthy people want relationships with equals, not servants. Manipulative people seek out people-pleasers because they're easy to control and exploit. They can get the pleaser to do things they don't want to do, agree to things they don't agree with, and accept treatment they don't deserve. Healthy people, on the other hand, are turned off by people-pleasing because it prevents genuine relationship. They want friends who will challenge them, partners who will disagree with them, and colleagues who will push back on bad ideas. They can't develop authentic connections with someone who's more concerned with avoiding conflict than expressing truth. This is why people-pleasers often end up surrounded by takers, users, and energy vampires while wondering why they can't attract healthy relationships. The unconscious contempt that others develop for people-pleasers explains why niceness often backfires so dramatically. When someone has no boundaries, no spine, and no authentic opinions, others begin to see them as less than fully human. They become objects to be used rather than people to be respected. This contempt often manifests as taking the person for granted, making jokes at their expense, or excluding them from important decisions. People feel safe being cruel to someone who won't fight back. They feel justified taking advantage of someone who won't stand up for themselves. As Robert Greene noted in the 48 Laws of Power, if you are unsure of a course of action, do not attempt it. Your doubts and hesitations will infect your execution, and constant people-pleasing is essentially constant hesitation about your own worth and opinions. Understanding these psychological realities is the first step toward developing a more strategic approach to relationships and respect. Section 3. The art of strategic selfishness. Learning to say no effectively requires understanding the psychology of authority and scarcity. When you say no without explanation or apology, you signal that your time and energy are valuable resources that shouldn't be wasted. Start practicing with low-stakes situations. Decline invitations you don't want to accept. Refuse requests that don't benefit you. Turn down opportunities that don't align with your goals. Don't explain yourself unless absolutely necessary. No is a complete sentence. The more you practice saying it, the more natural it becomes. People will initially be surprised by your newfound boundaries, but they'll quickly adjust and begin treating you with more respect. They'll stop making unreasonable requests because they know you might actually refuse them. Building respect through controlled disagreement means expressing your real opinions even when others won't like them. This doesn't mean being disagreeable. For the sake of argument, it means being honest about your thoughts and feelings, even when they conflict with others' preferences. When someone suggests a restaurant you don't like, suggest an alternative. When someone proposes a plan you think is flawed, explain why. When someone expresses an opinion you disagree with, share your perspective respectfully but firmly. This shows people that you have independent judgment, personal preferences, and the courage to express them. They'll start seeing you as someone worth listening to rather than someone who just echoes whatever they want to hear. Selective availability makes your time and attention more valuable by making them scarce. Stop being available to everyone all the time. Don't answer every text immediately. Don't accept every invitation you receive. Don't volunteer for every project at work. Make people schedule time with you instead of assuming you're always free. This isn't about playing games, it's about treating your time like the valuable resource it is. When people have to work a little to get your attention, they value it more when they receive it. When your presence is scarce, people appreciate it more when you show up. When your help isn't automatic, people are more grateful when you provide it. Developing psychological traits that command respect requires cultivating independence, competence, and self-respect. Independence means not needing others' approval to feel good about yourself. Competence means developing skills that make you valuable to others. Self-respect means treating yourself well enough that others learn to treat you well too. These traits can't be faked, they have to be genuinely developed through practice and experience. Start making decisions based on your own judgment rather than others' opinions. Build skills that give you options and leverage in relationships. And work, set standards for how you want to be treated and enforce them consistently. People will notice these changes and begin responding to you differently. Transforming from people pleaser to person of value requires embracing strategic selfishness as a tool for better relationships. This doesn't mean becoming cruel or indifferent to others' needs. It means prioritizing your own well-being enough to maintain the psychological resources necessary for genuine kindness. When you're not constantly depleted by people-pleasing, you have more energy to help others in meaningful ways. When you're not resentful from always saying yes, you can say yes authentically when you genuinely want to help. When you respect yourself enough to have boundaries, others learn to respect those boundaries too. Strategic selfishness creates the conditions for mutual respect, authentic connection, and healthy relationships where everyone's needs matter. If Machiavelli was right that trying to please everyone pleases no one, what would change in your relationships if you stopped trying to be liked by everyone and started focusing on being respected by the people who actually matter to you?